The world needs effective global leaders who can navigate environments that are complex and ever-changing. But we cannot wait too long to train these current and aspiring leaders. That's where JCI comes in. JCI is an organization for long-term leadership, training, and networking opportunities for young people. We amplify natural talents and create globally minded leaders who can change their communities for the better. We empower the next generation of leaders through events that build networking capabilities, training that hones skills, programs that shape leadership potential, and projects that test resourcefulness. In JCI, you'll meet people from around the world, working as professionals in every industry imaginable. Together, we find solutions to the world's biggest challenges. We're focused on empowering young people to take responsibility for the future. We achieve this by fostering growth in the 4 areas of opportunity: individual development, business and entrepreneurship, community action, and international cooperation. Our impact is felt on a global scale through thousands of member projects that focus on localized needs, from community development to entrepreneurial support. JCI is for people who are never satisfied with the status quo. So together, with our partners, members, and allies, we're working to take full responsibility for the future we want. At JCI, we're leading for life.
Hello everyone and welcome to tonight's event. My name's Lauren O'Reilly and I'm delighted to be co-hosting tonight's event with Derek here. I'm a relatively new JC, having joined in 2019, and somehow now I'm JCI Ireland's Director of Individual Development. I co-founded ProMotion, a platform which rewards healthy activity by connecting people with brands they know and love. And I'm also just a few months off being a qualified pharmacist.
Great. Thank you very much, Lauren. Good evening, everybody. My name is Derek Riley, and I am no relation to Lauren, as she is an O'Reilly. I'm just the regular Riley. I'm further down the alphabet and just plain old Riley. I joined JCI in 2011, and I was honoured to be the national president in 2014. I'm delighted to be here tonight to host the 10 Outstanding Young Persons Awards. In my day job, I work in sales, and my passion project at the moment is I run an EV Review Ireland YouTube channel where I review electric vehicles.
Guys, we are so excited to be with you here tonight. And while this evening's event is online, the future is looking brighter and we are getting closer every day to having in-person JCI and other events. The 10 Outstanding Young Persons Award program serves to formally recognise young people who excel in their chosen fields and exemplify the best attributes of the world's young people. Or to paraphrase it in an Irish way, we're awarding 10 absolute legends, 10 class acts, and we are celebrating them all tonight, JCI Ireland style. We were amazed by the number of applications this year, which were well over 100 compared with previous years when we had around 80. So you guys really kept the judges busy during lockdown.
So what is JCI and JCI Ireland? Some people it stands for Jelly, Custard and Ice Cream, but it actually stands for Junior Chamber International. And it's a global network of active young people from around the world. It's a non-profit organisation for young active citizens aged 18 to 40 who are engaged and committed to creating impact in their communities. Active citizens are individuals invested in the future of our world. JCI gathers active citizens from all sectors of society. We develop the skills, knowledge, and understanding to make an informed decision and then take action.
We have to thank our sponsors, Huawei, who have been incredible in terms of the support they've offered JCI Ireland. So huge thank you to them for sponsoring this event and for contributing to the amazing panel discussion we had earlier on. So I hope you got a chance to tune into that there. They've been so engaged with JCI Ireland, and with their core value being integrity, we can see why an event like this one resonates with them, as we celebrate people who work with integrity to make a positive impact in the world. And this is so true of all our nominees and winners tonight.
COVID has been a tough time for so many, and if there was one thing that has shown everybody, it is about resilience. Every single person watching this event right now has been resilient over the past year and a half. Every single person has faced the same difficulty through this pandemic, and we just want to take a minute to say thank you all, that you are all outstanding young people. We've got a couple of opening speeches, and I'd like to start off by the first of our opening speeches tonight, which is the host president, and that is from JCI Dublin. And this is an example of the type of projects that we run within JCI. So you may never have ran an online or an offline event before. So if you were a JCI member, you would have had the opportunity to run this event tonight. So with JCI Dublin, we have our host president, Pearl Leloto Osate, and she's going to give us our opening speech. Pearl.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Lauren. It is a great pleasure to see you all here, even though it would have been nice to be together physically for this spectacular event. As JCI Dublin, we are delighted to be hosting this event. My name is Pearl Leloto, originally from Botswana. I am the president of JCI Dublin 2021. I wish to take this opportunity to welcome our distinguished guests with us this evening, starting with our guest of honor, Secretary General Dr. Fergal Lynch from the Department of Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth. Our sponsors, Huawei, Mr. David Kenny, Vice President, Huawei, Ireland. JCI Ireland President, Carol Ho, TOYP Project Team Lead and Director of Community, JCI Ireland, Anuj Agwal. Our panel judges, TOYP nominees, JCI members, and all guests present here, you are all welcome to this award ceremony of JCI Ireland 10 Outstanding Young Persons, TOYP, where we recognize young people who excel in their chosen fields and create positive change. By recognizing these young people, JCI raises the status of socially responsible leaders in this world, and the honorees motivate their peers to seek excellence and serve others. Furthermore, I would like to send a massive thank you to our sponsors, Huawei, and as JCI, we are looking forward to collaborate with you. I would also like to recognize and thank JCI Ireland TOYP Committee, JCI Dublin President's Day and TOYP Organizing Committee for a great teamwork in their effort to make this day, and particularly this evening, a success. As the president of JCI Dublin, my main focus is around membership to give our members development opportunities, leadership, management skills, as well as personal development skills. We give our members the opportunity to build self-confidence in their own abilities by practicing skills. For example, our very own JCI Dublin member, our MC for this evening, Lauren O'Reilly, it's her first time emceeing JCI national event. Well done, Lauren. I am also proud of our newest members who have been actively involved in organizing this event. Kira, who was responsible for the design of the trophies. Nif, who was also much involved in the entertainment of JCI Got Talent, which we're gonna enjoy a bit later. Well done. With that all said, if you are not yet JCI Dublin member, do not hesitate to come join our amazing team and harness all these opportunities. Welcome and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Pearl, for those inspiring words. It's great to hear from our JCI Dublin president, and we're very proud of you as well. We will now hear from our guest of honour, Dr. Fergal Lynch, Secretary General, Department of Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth, whom we are delighted to have here with us tonight. Hi, Fergal.
Hi everyone, my name is Fergal Lynch. I'm Secretary General of the Department of Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth, and I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to speak at the presentation of this year's 10 Outstanding Young Persons Awards. I think that occasions like this provide us with an opportunity to recognise and acknowledge the many achievements and excellent work being carried out by young people and by organisations such as Junior Chamber Ireland. By empowering young people to get involved in these awards, you're also promoting activity which in turn is making a real difference to society. So today it's an honour to celebrate the commitment of our young people and to have your hard work and achievements recognised and applauded. I'm very impressed by the variety of the award categories tonight and by the talent, the dedication and the expertise shown by the young people nominated for the work achieved in their respective fields. The many accomplishments that you've made have brought you to this point tonight, and they demonstrate that you undoubtedly promote active citizenship in the work that you do and that you have an inherent understanding of civic responsibility. I firmly believe that awards like the Outstanding Young Person Award, which bring us here today, contribute to the work for social change, and they provide an opportunity to think creatively, to embrace diversity and to honour rightly the future leaders of our country. We know that Ireland has had great success internationally in the past in this award on the world stage, and it's, I think, beyond question that the recipients awarded here tonight deserve to be recognised at the Junior Chamber International Awards that are going to be held in South Africa later this year. So I want to thank Junior Council Ireland and their staff for all their hard work in championing young people to excel in their fields and empowering them to make positive change in society. I'm very pleased that the funding from my own department helped set out a pathway of success for Ireland's young people. So before I finish, I just want to express once again my thanks to Junior Chamber Ireland and to everybody involved with these awards for your work, for your commitment and for your dedication. I'd like to congratulate all of the nominees tonight and say how impressed I am with the diversity and the creativity of your activities. And I appreciate hugely the efforts that you have made by all involved. I look forward to seeing the great talent awarded here tonight, representing Ireland in Johannesburg in November. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lynch, and thank you very much for your very kind words. Without partners and sponsors and supporting organisations, JCI cannot achieve much as an organisation. JCI Ireland are delighted to be able to work with Huawei Ireland and potentially even Huawei Global, but we won't let the cat out of the bag there, as our main sponsor and supporter of these awards here in Ireland. Please can I introduce David James Kelly to say a few words.
Yeah, you're like Carl, also we're in a bit of a technical problem. So good evening, everybody. My name is David Kenny. I'm Vice President of Huawei Ireland. So it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you this evening. And it's also our first time to be involved with JCI. And I have to say, being on the judging panel, I've been absolutely impressed by the standard of the candidates, and also the 10 finalists. To give you a little bit of background on Huawei, as you know, we're a global ICT company, but we have nearly 200,000 people employed globally across 172 countries, and we speak over 150 languages. Half of our employees are engaged in R&D, and that was a vision that we saw maybe 10 years ago, and that's bearing fruit now in terms of positioning ourselves in as number one ICT company globally. But I would say that all of our R&D staff, the average age must be, I'd say, mid-20s to late 20s, and all of them, in my opinion, are all entrepreneurs in their own right. What's really impressed us also with JCI, that it gives plenty of opportunities to connect with fellow professionals and to brainstorm also your creativity, but also to reach out for help during these challenging times. And if it's one thing I've learned with my 10 years in Huawei, or the advice I would give any of the panelists or the audience tonight, is that no one succeeds alone. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be involved, and we're very much looking forward to having a long-standing engagement with JCI. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Really appreciate those inspiring words. And we look forward to continuing on the relationship with Huawei as JCI Ireland. Next up, we have none other than JCI World President Ruben Kojima, who has kindly sent us a message especially for tonight's event, which we are delighted to share with you now.
Dear JCI members, senators, partners, award winners, and special guests. Welcome to the Ireland 10 Outstanding Young People Award ceremony. Thank you so much to JCI Ireland for being such an active and involved host of tonight's event, and for giving me the chance to talk to you directly. It always feels great to be able to share some thought with you, even if it's from afar. As we all know, this initiative is more than just an award. Firstly, it entails fields such as academic leadership, business, economic or entrepreneurial accomplishment, political, legal and governmental affairs, medical innovation, amongst others. Mainly, this award celebrates the achievements of enterprising young leaders who make a significant impact in their corresponding disciplines, which we are not shy to show the world during these unstable times. Currently, our world is still deeply affected by the COVID pandemic. As experienced, it hits differently to every country, every city, and every community. This is why JCI remains a big player. I am well pleased to say during these hardships, our organization has stepped forward and played a major role to support economies, workforces, and the people around the world with an JCI Rise initiative. Our work is definitely not done, and we must work together as a global organization to truly overcome the obstacles that will confront us. It is here where I ask you to be bold. Don't be afraid. Bring these innovative ideas forward. We want to listen. Your JCI local organizations want to listen. If we all work together to try to improve ourselves and these around us, JCI will continue to be an example in our societies and keep growing. Today, let's focus on celebrating this exciting occasion. Together, we can support these enterprising young leaders and not only celebrate them, but learn from them, take inspiration from them, and try to outdo ourselves as they have. I would also like to thank our sponsor, Huawei, and Roderick O. Gorman, the Minister for Children, Equality, Disability, Integration, and Youth, for contributing to making of this amazing ceremony. Your help is much appreciated, and we hope that these alliances continue to grow. Furthermore, I am heartened and excited to see so many young and aspiring volunteers and entrepreneurs today who are passionate in making an impact on their societies and businesses. I hope we get to see young people from Ireland on the World TOYP stage again this year. I welcome all of you once again as we empower each other to create the one future we all strive for. Thank you very much. ありがとうございました。
What an incredible message from our JCI World President. I think it shows just how global an organisation JCI really is, and yet how connected we are that we got to get that message from our World President tonight. Next, we have our very own Anuj Agarwal, JCI Ireland Community Appointee, who was our TOYP project team lead, who will now share a few words with us.
Thank you, Lauren. Hello and good evening, everyone. On the call today, all the nominees, JCI members who are watching us from around the world, representatives from our sponsor, Huawei. It's a pleasure to see you all at the virtual JCI Ireland 10 Outstanding Young Person Award ceremony hosted by JCI Dublin. It's an honor to lead a national flagship project such as TOYP, and I thank everyone on the national board for entrusting me with this task. First things first, I would like to thank the project team for the incredible support all throughout the project, without which this project could not have succeeded. Special shout out to National Project Advisors Kira Kyo, 2019 JCI Ireland National President, and Carol Ho, the current JCI Ireland National President. I would also like to thank Claire Cox, Melanie Morrissey, Lauren O'Reilly, Derek Riley, Rojan Murphy, and Elizabeth Talipari. Also, the Dublin organizing team worked really hard in tandem with the national team to bring together today's incredible experience to all of you. Apart from the main TOYP program, we launched the TOYP Know-How Transfer Program on the sidelines, where we aim to give opportunities to new members to shadow and assist the national team so that it helps them to build the skills to become a great leader at a very early stage in JCI. Rojan Murphy and Elizabeth Talipari represented the first cohort. Lauren O'Reilly helped us with this mini project, and we put together this project to ensure that it continues on for the years to come. It is through this project that we will be arranging podcast interviews with all the nominees who wish to tell their story to the world and keep inspiring the future generations. I believe most of the nominees have already been invited to this, and a few have agreed to be a part of the podcast already. So this year, we have had over 100 plus nominations, out of which 78 were unique applications from across the country. The initial press release was covered by almost 8 media outlets in total. We are also delighted to have Huawei on board as the national sponsor, who have shown keen interest on collaborating with us on this project as well as in the future due to a synergy between JCI Ireland initiatives and Huawei's CSR goals. Additionally, we have received tremendous support from different departments of the government for TOYP project this year. For the launch ceremony, we had TD Roderick O'Gorman, Minister for Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth. While for the award ceremony today, we had Dr. Fergal Lynch, Secretary General of Department of Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth. To conclude, the project has set a benchmark, the highest social media engagement, most extensive press coverage, including online, print and radio, as well as incredible sponsorships and support from Huawei and the government. The credit for this goes entirely to the project teams, both at the local and national levels, and everybody involved in the project. I believe this is critical for the project, as this will ensure that in the following years, we're able to reach more communities across the country and unearth more hidden talents and promote young people. With this, as a closing note, I personally wish that we have more than just one winner at the World Congress later in November this year. And looking at the winners, I definitely think it's quite not impossible. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for attending.
Thank you, Anuj, for your kind words. And just a point of clarification for our partner and sponsor, Huawei, Dave, I said Kelly and not Kenny. So David Kenny, thank you very much for your support and your organization's support. Last but by no means least, before we get into the main body of the awards, is the amazing woman running JCI Ireland this year. She's not doing it single-handedly, but she's taken on a lot of the work. I'm so proud to have served in this office as national president a couple of years ago, but I can put my hand on my heart and say I did not achieve as much as she is going to achieve and has already achieved. Our JCI Ireland national president, Carol Ho.
Thank you so much, Derek. Good evening, everyone. I just found out I was still on mute. So I was trying to, say a few words, just found that out. So anyway, I'm here. So good evening, everyone. So my name is Carol and I'm the National President of JCI Ireland this year. So first of all, I would like to say congratulations to all the nominees that you made it here, to this event tonight. I was also helping the judges to, read through all the nominations coming in around Ireland. And then we were all very impressed of all of you achieve in your life. And I'm so excited. I'm part of the TOYP team, especially I'm supporting Anuj this year, running the national JCI Ireland 10,000 Young Persons Awards. So before I move on to the next part, I really want to take these opportunities to say a few words to say thank you to all the supporters for the project this year. So as Anuj mentioned that this year we have a lot of support from the government. In the launch event, we invited the ministers to speak to us at the launch event, and it's really massive surprise to us. And this year we are able to get loads of support from government, and also at the beginning of this event, we also have the Secretary General from the Department of the Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth, Dr. Fergal Lynch, and also give us a speech to all the nominees and also the awardees for tonight. Everyone was so impressed by all of you, and also impressed by the work that JCI Ireland members have done so far for the TOYP Awards. Also, I want to say thank you to our generous sponsor, Huawei Ireland this year, who are supporting JCI Ireland so much. They are not just sponsoring one project, they're actually helping us a lot, trying to see what kind of opportunities that they can provide and offer to all the members and also the young people in Ireland. Apart from the TOYP awards, we also launch the virtual company visits. So we have my helping hands, Ruzin, and also Luke from the Huawei communication team. We organize a virtual company visits to introduce the development and the plans from Huawei global and also in the Ireland perspective. And also this afternoon, so we just host another virtual panel discussion, so which is covering the digital transformation and also 5G application, which is something that Huawei is really in expertise of. So we have a lot of support this year from a lot of partners and parties. So I really grateful that this year, even though we're still during pandemic, we're still doing really, really good. And also, I really want to also recognize the judges on the panel judges, because as I mentioned that like we all read through all your nomination and we are also impressed by all the achievements. We got like more than 100 nominations in this year. It took us a long time. I really want to say thank you for the judges. I think that Laura, you can put the slideshow up again. So we have judges, 3 judges, which is the chief judge, Calvin, which is our 2005 JCI World President, and who is also the CMO of Cork Airport. And also we have David Kenny, which is the Vice President of Huawei Ireland. And also we have Cloda Higgins, which is the Galway City Councillors. So 3 of them supported JCI Ireland this year to help to pick the winners of the 10 Outstanding Young Persons Award for this year. And then last but not least, and Anush already mentioned that the organizing committee team for the 10 Outstanding Young Persons Award. But on the other hand, I also want to recognize all the hard work behind the scene, which is from the JCI Dublin organizing team of the whole day program, because the 10 Outstanding Young Persons Awards is actually part of the JCI Ireland President Day program. So of course you already met our very own JCI Dublin members, Pearl, and we have a lot of wonderful members. They're super talented. They're Ben, Tara, Claire, Laura is helping us to manage the slides, and also we have Neve, Kira, and Melissa. So all of them, they are giving the massive help. And if you don't know that, we are all volunteers. We are all volunteers from JCI Ireland. And of course, if you're in the call tonight and also you're watching from YouTube and Facebook, if you would like to be part of this wonderful global community, try to reach out to JCI Dublin, or you can send a message to JCI Ireland Facebook page directly right now. I'm going to follow up with you and see and invite you to be the new member of this wonderful organization. So I'm going to pass the virtual microphone back to the MCs, Derek and Lauren. Thank you so much.
Thank you, National President Carol Ho. If you haven't met Carol already, her energy is contagious, and I feel super pumped up now, Carol. Thanks so much. So before we announce the award categories, just as Carol said there, if you are watching along tonight, do make sure to tag us on social media at JCI Ireland and to use the hashtag JCI Ireland and hashtag JCI Ireland TOYP 2021. We would love to see your posts. So, without further ado, our first award category is academic leadership and/or accomplishment. And I can assure you that there's no need for the and/or with either of our winners here, because they are certainly both leading and accomplishing. So, the first award goes to Mr. Luke Gibbons, who has made exceptional academic contributions and leadership accomplishments in environmental policy and climate change research. He was also nominated by Provost of the Queen's College of Oxford, and he has an honorary scholarship from the Queen's College University of Oxford for his current BCL Law Master's study, where he is focusing on environmental and climate policy, something very relevant to today's world. If that wasn't enough to keep him busy, he is also currently creating Envy Ed, I love this pun, and it's Ireland's first environmental charity with the purpose of educating young people about environmental harm and climate change. Luke is also an international alumnus of the European Youth Parliament, working primarily on You guessed it, environmental policy. So Luke, we won't hold you too long, but I just want to ask you, what first got you interested in environmental policy and climate change? What makes you so passionate about it and to make an impact in this area?
Thank you very much, Lauren. I'm delighted to be here tonight. I just wanted to say that first. And I just want to thank the judging panel for picking me for this award. I suppose to answer your question, it probably goes back to being in secondary school all those years ago when I was chairperson of the Green Schools Committee. And although we were doing great work, I was kind of thinking, well, climate change is actually a global issue, and I'm going to need to further my education into this in order to create change. And I found, although we may touch upon climate change education and environmentalism in different subjects in school, there was never any focus on it. And I started to take a step back and I was thinking, this is the biggest issue that's facing humanity at the time. Now, you could argue the pandemic at the moment is, but in the overarching time then. And I thought, I need to actually make a change here. So when I went to study my law degree and I saw there was an environmental law module, I picked it immediately. And then I decided to do my undergraduate dissertation on corporate criminal liability for environmental wrongs. And I was just flabbergasted that we don't actually have any legislation in place in these areas. It's all very the common law. The judges do what they want. Different judges have different ideas. And I thought, this is because environmental issues require legal imagination. And the reason why this legal imagination hasn't been instilled yet is because education on climate change and the environment isn't starting at an early enough age. So I suppose that's then when I thought the idea to create NVED, which I'm currently in the process of creating, and I just got the logos actually from my designer the last day, so that was a great day. And many secondary schools have want to participate in it, and basically it'll just be a charity. We go in for a day into a secondary school, provide education to secondary school students on the environmental issues currently facing the earth, the different other charities they can get involved in, how to educate themselves on what is going on, and then different courses that they could pursue in college to create change themselves. So I suppose it's putting academia into practice.
That's incredible, Luke. And I love the emphasis on the young age, because I suppose that's where it came from for you with the green schools, and just the impact that even that small kind of involvement in a committee had for you. And then imagine if it was targeted educational approach, what difference that could make, and especially with regards to opening up opportunities from a further study perspective. That's just incredible, Luke. And I can't think of a better winner for tonight's award there. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you very much, Lauren.
Thank you, Luke.
Award winner number one there with Luke. Now, everybody, I know NVED is the charity's name, but we're all envious of that background, Luke. My goodness, it was amazing. A lot of people were wondering if that was a Mayo flag on your desk, but we'll get that answer later on. Moving on to award number two. And it is again for academic leadership and or accomplishment. And we're delighted to be able to award this to, please, Dr. Sean Mulligan. Dr. Sean Mulligan is the founder of Vortec Water Solutions. Vortec Water Solutions is a solution to energy wastage in the water treatment industry. Water treatment plants operate around the clock and account for up to 3% of a national electricity bill in developed countries. However, a significant amount of this energy being used in these plants is wasted due to the inefficient technologies and processes persisting within the industries. What was needed was a step change innovation that would deliver an alternative, high-tech, low-energy means of treating wastewater and reducing carbon emissions. Following 4 years of research, this is exactly what NUI Galway's spin-out company has developed. Its Vortex-powered accelerator, Vortex-powered aerator, VPA, greatly increases the efficiency of the aeration process, the standard method of wastewater treatment. Adding to the attraction of the system for existing wastewater plant operators around the world, the VPA can be easily retrofitted with no distribution or downtime. It's all of the parts are assembled off-site, so contractors can spend the minimum amount of time in the plant during the installation. The VPA also offers longevity, low cost of total ownership, and components that can be easily replaced. Unfortunately, Dr. Mulligan can't join us tonight, but I sent a video along for us to play.
Hello everyone, my name is Sean Mulligan and I'm very sorry I couldn't be there with you this evening to celebrate the JCI award ceremony. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank JCI for the nomination. It's an honour for me to be nominated for the Academic Leadership and Accomplishment Award. So I started my career in civil engineering. From a young age I was always very interested in water, in particular the global water challenges of energy intensity and accessibility. For these reasons, I decided to pursue a PhD in Environmental and Hydraulic Structures Engineering at IT Sligo. After my PhD, I decided to take this ambition a step further to commercialise some of my ideas into products to launch onto the market. For that reason, I engaged Dr. Owen Clifford at NUIG, and we both secured funding from Enterprise Ireland Commercialisation Fund to develop our technologies further. Over 4 years at NUI Galway, we developed a fantastic team of people with a number of achievements, from papers in high-impact journals to redesign of large-scale infrastructure projects with partners in industry, to filing patents on our technology. But that leads us to where we are today. I recently founded Vortec Water Solutions, which is a spin-off from NUI Galway. At Vortec, we strive to do well by doing better, by delivering innovative technology to the water industry to make a positive impact on our society. We've already been successful at exporting our product to the UK, and we've also exported our services to clients in countries as far away as New Zealand. But the success in Vortec is a testament to the hard work of a number of people who work alongside me also. The JCI Awards is an excellent initiative to highlight the importance of STEM, not just in civil engineering, but in all areas of science, engineering, technology and mathematics. This is particularly important to emphasise how we can innovate to generate technology to enhance productivity or efficiency and for job creation and economic growth. So I'd like to thank you again for this opportunity, and I hope you all enjoy the remainder of your evening.
The next award is for Business, Economic and/or Entrepreneurial Accomplishment, and it's going to two brothers from Dromineer, County Tipperary, Patrick and John Collison. Although for anyone on the call from Limerick, we will allow you to claim them as your own, as they did go to school there, so we'll allow that. Patrick and John Collison are the co-founders of Stripe. From 2010, their company built software that businesses could link with websites and apps to instantly connect with credit card and banking systems and receive payments. The idea got the seal of approval from none other than Tesla founder Elon Musk and PayPal's Peter Thiel, along with other Silicon Valley startups. Businesses such as Lyft, Facebook, DoorDash, and thousands that aspire to be like them turned Stripe into the financial backbone of their operations. If you've bought anything online in the last few years, the odds are pretty high that the payment was processed by Stripe. Or if you've a startup or a company that processes payments, I can bet that a lot of you are using them. I know we do in JCI Ireland. This morning at our 8 o'clock meeting, I saw them on our financial breakdown. So we're definitely making use of their services. The company now handles hundreds of billions of dollars in internet transactions annually, making money by charging a small fee on each one. Stripe is now valued at $95 billion after raising $600 million in March 2021 and revealed that it is to create at least 1,000 new jobs here in Ireland over the next 5 years. So who knows, maybe some of the people tuning in today could be working with Stripe in the near future. It's very exciting times. So they really believe in Ireland as being a tech capital of Europe with great talent and companies emerging all the time. And they're really keen to help to cement that position for Ireland. And Dublin is Stripe's fastest growing international office and home to a broad range of functions. The two brothers often humbly attribute much of their success to where they come from, which we love to hear. We are honoured to present this award to the Collison brothers and to have Irish rugby legend Jamie Heaslip, who is also championing startup and growth at Stripe, here to accept the award on their behalf. Jamie, it is an honour to have you, and we would love to know, what was it that drew you into Stripe, and what was it that made you think, I need to get involved in this?
And well, firstly, look, on behalf of John and Patrick, I would like to thank JCI Ireland. It's a great honour. Stripe is infrastructure in which other companies, organizations grow their business. So any success that Stripe has had has been heavily down to the entrepreneurial spirit of our users, including some really exciting young Irish companies like Flipdish, Glowfox and The Currency. So it's important to never underestimate the impact that you can have by finding ways to help others succeed. And also important to never underestimate how much can be achieved by people in their younger years. You tend to assume that grown-ups have it all figured out, and that's normally not true. And to be honest, that's probably what drew me into work in Stripe, enabling other companies to thrive and grow the GDP of the internet. And to be a part of that team, part of that organization mission is quite humbling. And like I'd like to say, finally, on behalf of John and Patrick, I know it's a great honor for them. They're sorry they can't make it, but thank you very much. And it's a huge honor for me to be representing Stripe today.
Thank you so much, Jamie. We really appreciate having you here tonight.
No worries.
Thanks, Jamie. The background envy gets better and better. So we just had some Ireland caps in the background there. So any of our upcoming winners, don't feel under pressure. It's all going to be okay. We're not going to focus on your backgrounds. Joking aside, we are moving on. For those that are in accountancy or in the financial world, we are the 10 Outstanding Young People Awards. So we're moving on to number 4. The award for number 4 is for cultural achievement. And we'd like to award this to Sean William McLaughlin. A lot of you might not know Sean William McLaughlin and his real name. Sean William McLaughlin is better known on YouTube as Jacksepticeye. Those of you still might not know who Jacksepticeye is, but he's an Irish YouTuber best known for his vlogs and comedic Let's Play series. As of May 2021, this month, his channel has over 14.1 billion with a B views and 27 million subscribers, and is the most subscribed Irish YouTube channel. And since 2017, Sean has raised more than $6 million towards charity and other live streams. Unfortunately, Sean can't be with us tonight, but we wish him well. And if he does want a shout out from my little YouTube channel, I'm happy to get him to over the 30 million subscribers when I give him a shout out on my next video. But it just shows that sometimes you think you know, and people may know Sean or Jacksepticeye as just a YouTuber who plays computer games, but the fact that he has raised over $6 million for charity since the channel in 2017, it's great to see using that word of mouth and that reach on social networks to do good in the world. So congratulations, Sean.
Now, moving on to our next award. Before we do, Derek, I'd just like to let you know I have a really impressive background here. I had to use the JCI background so you can't see it. So
yeah, Carol made us. We have amazing backgrounds here, but Carol said that we have to use these branded ones. And you can see, let's use the right finger. It's one of the other hashtags. So we felt that with 2 hashtags we hadn't enough, so you have to now also use connecting opportunities. We tried to look for a longer hashtag, but no, we said we'd go with the connecting hashtag. So thanks, Lauren. Thanks, Carol.
Yeah, so you just have to take my word on the background. So we'll see now with Barry McCann up next with our 5th award for medical innovation. I'm delighted to announce that Barry is the winner in this category. He is CEO of Nua Surgical. Now, Nua Surgical is an award-winning startup company applying needs-led innovation to women's health. Their inaugural device is tackling major unmet needs of cesarean section or C-section, impacting clinicians, hospitals and patients. The Stericision retractor aims to make C-sections a safer and more efficient surgery, providing better outcomes for mothers and their newborns all over the world. Nua Surgical is supported by Enterprise Ireland and accelerated by EIT Health. Barry is also married with 2 young children and is a lover of sport, which has always played a major role in his life. He played rugby for over 20 years at various levels, competed for Ireland in athletics at schools level, winning European gold and bronze medals for hammer throwing and the javelin. He has also run 11 marathons, all for charity, and has completed a full Ironman. Barry, as someone who is incredibly passionate about women's health myself, I would love if you could tell us what was your motivation to start Nua Surgical?
Thanks, Lauren. Look, I suppose to start off as well, I just want to thank JCI Ireland and whoever it was that nominated me in the first place. It was a huge shock to be put in this position, but look, very grateful. And I suppose first of all, I want to accept this award on behalf of my co-founders as well for the work that we're doing with Nua Surgical. It's a strange one, really. The whole background to Nua Surgical started at the BioInnovate Ireland Fellowship, which I completed back in 2017. And I focused all of our clinical immersion in obstetrics and gynecology. So I basically spent about 8 or 9 weeks in hospitals all over Ireland and just shadowing clinicians and obstetricians, having access to their surgeries, observing things that were happening, potentially things that were going wrong or issues that they were having, and really just trying to get a better understanding of what are the true unmet clinical needs in women's health. And from there, spent months doing kind of further diligence and kind of literature reviews and market assessments of, you know, what type of a company could we develop here, that there is a really significant problem and unmet need, not just in Ireland, but globally. And that's where both Nua Surgical and our product Stericision was kind of evolved from. We're still in early days, where we've been at it for over 2 years now, and we've been supported through Enterprise Ireland and EIT Health, as you've mentioned, and most recently we were awardees for Intertrade Ireland's seed corn competition, which just provides additional support and funding. We need to raise significant amount of funding, which we're doing at the moment, and that will bring us to the next step of getting our device to market by late 2022. I suppose a huge part of my drive in women's health is, you mentioned, I'm very lucky to have 2 young children myself, a healthy boy and girl. But I suppose we're also conscious, and we know so many others that have had more difficult attempts at both getting pregnant and then that of complications around childbirth. And unfortunately, it's a really significant problem globally. Over 800 women globally die every day of preventable childbirth scenarios, and that's something that, you know, down the road we aim to be able to make a significant impact on. And then not only that, there is just a huge amount more of complications that occur during childbirth as well. And you know, we're aiming that our first device, and then I suppose follow-on devices, that we're going to be able to make an impact there and reduce the both complications and the impact on both clinicians and ultimately their patients around the world, and hopefully the newborns then as well.
That's incredible, Barry. And I think that figure that you shared there is really, I can see a lot of people were surprised at that there. You know, you think that issues relating to death in childbirth is something of the past, but it's very much still a problem of today's world, unfortunately. So it's an incredible space to be in, and I suppose working in the medical innovation space is tough, as you said, and it requires significant funding. So I'd imagine you've learned some lessons in resilience and team building. And I wonder, have you any nuggets of wisdom to share with anyone listening here tonight who wants to really go after a big goal of theirs? Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It is tough, it's challenging, and you really have to develop a thick skin. I would say go at it early. If you're raising funds, at least double, maybe treble the amount of time that you think it's going to take. Get speaking to people early. Even if you're not wanting to raise money now, go speak to people and ask, okay, well, what if it's an investor or maybe a big VC, what will you want to see that I've achieved when I do come looking for money? Because then at least you will have the full picture and you'll be able to come prepared. It's never too early to go and speak to people.
And yeah, just do it as often as you can, because it's something that you can only improve on.
Brilliant, Barry. Thank you so much. And it's a pleasure to present you with the award tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. A phenomenal idea and rollout, and looking forward to seeing the continued success on that. That was award winner number 5. Now moving on to award winner number 6. And that is Fionn Fliera. And Fionn is has been awarded underneath the Moral and Environmental Leadership category. Fionn who is with us here tonight, but we're going to, I'm going to read out the bio and then we're going to play a little video first. He's a 20-year-old student, scientist, anti-plastic pollution innovator. It's going to be a long business card, focusing on solving the plastic pollution crisis. He grew up in a remote region of Ireland and spent a large portion of his childhood paddling around the coast of Ireland in his kayak with his dog India. Fionn was concerned as he observed the increasing amount of plastic washing up on the coastline, so he organised several beach cleanup operations, as well as building machines that quantify and collect plastic pollution. So we're going to play the video first, Fionn, and then we're going to have a quick chat with you afterwards.
This is where I live, the edge of the Atlantic Ocean in beautiful West Cork, Ireland. There is a huge problem at these beaches. It's big plastic particles being washed up. However, there's a much bigger problem facing us here in Ireland, and that is microplastics, tiny plastic particles less than 2 millimeters in diameter. My project is an investigation as to how we can remove these plastic particles from their source, wastewater, before it even enters the sea. So I read about the work of a scientist called Dr. Arden Warner. He uses magnetite powder to clean up oil spills, and that is because the oil and the magnetite powder are both non-polar. I thought, well, maybe I could apply this idea to plastics in water and use oil and magnetite mixed together as a ferrofluid to extract the plastics. I did a small test and this was indeed the case. I then designed an extraction process to remove plastics from water, and I chose 10 different types of plastics to do my testing on. I conducted over 1,000 tests on the plastics in over 200 extractions. So to measure the concentration of plastic particles in a suspension, I used my home-built visible light spectrometer, and I could use the software Spectrograph to calculate the concentration of unknown samples using the Beer-Lambert law. As an auxiliary method, I also used a digital microscope, and I could use Adobe Photoshop to select all the pixels covered in plastic. After all of this extensive testing, I came up with loads and loads of results. At the beginning of my project, I hypothesized that I would have an 85% decrease in plastics, and this hypothesis was indeed met using a hypothesis test. Here we can see a graph showing all of my results. These are the plastic types down here, and up here the plastic percentage decrease. I also conducted a t-test to verify if there was a statistically significant difference between using oil and not using oil. I found that it was not statistically significant. I conclude from all of this that this would be an effective method for removing microplastics from water, and now I'm looking at how this could be scaled up from a test tube size to a larger quantity of water and eventually used in industry.
Evening, Fionn, how are you?
Very good, thank you. I think, first of all, I think thank you really for hosting me and selecting me, and also just allowing me to come on this call and listen to all the other really cool people that have got awards. So I think that's wonderful. And also, I would really like to point out how wonderful it's also to actually watching that video. So that's the video I submitted when I first entered the BT Young Scientist back in 2016. Really how my project has changed over time. And I think it's going to be very fun now to also see and compare and see how the journey has really progressed.
Looking forward to it, Fionn. So you can see yourself in 2016, so nearly 5 years ago. What have been the biggest leaps in your project since then?
Yeah, well, I think one of the major leaps is that going from like a tiny little test tube size, I've really worked on scaling a technology for the removal of microplastic particles from water, where now I have a big team of engineers. We're employing them by my company, and we basically have a testing device that has a capacity of like 10,000 liters. So, just slightly bigger. we can now run tests where we remove microplastics from water, where we can like flow the water through a container and then take out the water at the other side. And really, we're getting very close to an implementation phase where we could see microplastic removal in kind of places where a lot of microplastics would be entering the sea. But also, very importantly, in the human health aspect, that we can clean water that people are getting through the application of this technology on drinking water sides as well. So that's, I guess, one thing that's really changed over that time. I think some of the major like leaps and bounds that have happened in between was really, together with different science fairs. So it all started with the BT Young Scientist, and then from there it really scaled. So in 2019, I won the Global Google Science Fair for this device. And then that allowed me to really kickstart it by speaking about circular economy and microplastics at the 2020 World Economic Forum in Davos. And really also just being engaged in a whole host of different things. But I believe that this methodology and this method is not the solution to the microplastic problem. I think the solution is very much that we stop using plastic, or we redesign plastic into different ways. So actually, as time's going on, I'm also branching out into other ways that we can try and stop plastics from turning into microplastics in the first place and really entering the environment.
Excellent. And it's great to hear. And as much as we don't want to get those engineers that you've got employed out of work, as you said, it's not what you're doing. You'd want to not be doing it moving forward. Really interesting question I have for you with regards to microplastics, and what size do they need to be for them not to be suspended in water? And I presume a lot of it will drop to the bottom of the ocean or the riverbed or whatever the water source may be. Is there a certain size, or does it depend on the type of plastic that you have?
There's a lot of variables. So what I really am very worried about myself is not the larger microplastics, which would be like around 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter size, but I'm actually mainly concerned with nanoplastics, which would be about maybe 1 to 2 nanometers wide. That's about a quarter of a red blood cell in width, or if you want that in a different scale, that's about a tenth of the width of your hair. So that's pretty small. And at these smaller scales, we no longer have the issues of the plastic sinking to the bottom where they pacify, or them floating to the top, but actually they're in our water. And they're so small that they can be really easily absorbed by our bodies. And I would really like to highlight that it's not just the plastic we have to be concerned about here. And I don't want to ruin, a wonderful evening by talking about all the health concerns with plastic, but I do think it's an issue. And that is also the chemicals that are in plastic, the colorants, the plasticizers, and a lot of other nasty things that are in plastic that really can get into our bodies via this medium. I also really believe that in order to solve problems like this and really move forward, what we need to do is really redesign the plastic process, also on scale in removal technologies. And that's why I currently work on a lot of outreach programs and also designing some television series to do with innovation, invention, really trying to get young people into this field of really geeky and fun invention.
You're with the right crowd here tonight, Fionn. Thank you so much for your time. I know it's a Saturday evening and we weren't expecting it, so it's really great to hear and really great to speak with you, and best of luck with your project and company and all your endeavors in the future.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much, Fionn. Your Beer Lambert Law and your spec gear there brought me back to my second year chemistry studying pharmacy. So that really resonated with me there, and incredible work that you're doing. So really great to hear from you. Our next award is going for personal accomplishment, and it's going to an incredible Irish jockey, Rachel Blackmore. Rachel Blackmore is a jockey who competes in national hunt racing, and in 2021 she made history when she became the first female jockey to win the Grand National, and during a global pandemic, I might add. Since the inaugural race in 1839, just 17 female jockeys have been given the chance to negotiate the iconic Aintree fences. In 2021, she achieved 2 notable firsts at the Cheltenham Festival, becoming the first female jockey to partner a winner of the Champion Hurdle, and by finishing with 6 winners across the 4 days, she also became the first female jockey to win the Ruby Walsh Trophy for leading Cheltenham jockey. Now, she couldn't be with us tonight, but she has sent us a heartfelt message, which I'll read out now for you. So Rachel has said, "I'm honoured to have won an award in the personal accomplishment category with JCI Ireland. I'm sorry that I couldn't be there personally this evening to accept it, but a big congratulations to all of the nominees, award winners, and of course to JCI Ireland for staging the awards programme this evening. It has been a very special season for me personally, particularly winning the Grand National, and it is a testament to the incredible team I am a part of. It is great to see so many bright young people here in Ireland doing brilliant things, so I'm delighted to be recognised amongst such great company." Now, so that is Rachel's message for us. I felt like I was embodying a female jockey.
Very good, Lauren. Amazing. And if anybody's listening to the Tommy, Hector and Larita Blewett podcast, they'll know that Hector O'Huckatong is a massive fan. So I was looking forward to speaking to her tonight. So thank you very much, Lauren, and congratulations, Rachel. Moving on to award number 8, and it is it is for personal accomplishment as well, and we'd like to award this to Dr. Sinead Kane. So Dr. Sinead Kane is a keynote speaker, double PhD doctorate, not just 1, 2, double Guinness World Record holder, freelance researcher, visually impaired athlete, and qualified lawyer. If you ever wanted to feel inadequate, just come along to a TOYP event, and if you think you're not doing enough in the world. But joking aside, Sinead doesn't let her disability hold her back and is living life to the full. Within the space of 3 months, Sinead was awarded 2 PhD doctorates. In October 2017, she received an honorary PhD from the National University of Ireland, and in December 2017, she was awarded her academic PhD from Dublin City University. Sinead is also a double Guinness World Record holder. In February 2018, she broke the Guinness World Record for the furthest distance for a female on a treadmill in 12 hours. See these links. Sinead also has the holder of the Guinness World Record for being the first blind person to complete a marathon on each of the 7 continents, a feat which she completed in less than 7 days in 2017. She is also the first Irish female to do a World Marathon Challenge. Sinead and her guide runner John completed their first marathon of those challenges at Union Glacier, Antarctica, followed by running a marathon in South America, North America, Europe, Africa, Asia, and finally in Sydney. Sinead came joint first in her marathon in Dubai. All of these remarkable, given that Sinead only did her first marathon in October 2014 and only took up running in April 2012. This above achievements are admirable, but even more so when one considers that Sinead has only 5% vision and is regarded as legally blind. Sinead has overcome a lot of adversity throughout her life and now wants to help others. Sinead proves how those who persist in spite of a disability can develop determination, motivation, and creativity. Good evening, Sinead. How are you this evening?
Good evening. Thanks so much for giving me this award, and I really am thankful to JCI Ireland and to the sponsor Hawaii. I really, I just feel honoured, and amongst all the other finalists as well, I want to congratulate all of them.
With such a phenomenal career so far, Sinead, if I was to ask you to pick one highlight out of everything that I've talked about this evening, what do you think would be the one that you will say that was I'm most proud of that achievement?
Well, I suppose I have a lot, but I suppose maybe qualifying as Ireland's first visually impaired solicitor in 2009, because at age 17, my careers advisor teacher told me not to study law, that it was a reading-based subject and that I'd never be able for it. And she genuinely believed that. And I think that's a lot of attitude of people in society that people with disabilities can't achieve, and that's very much my mission in life, to show that people with disabilities can achieve, and that I want to empower people, because I think it's only by empowering people with disabilities that we can be as innovative as anybody else, creating solutions to problems. So I didn't take that career as a teacher's advice. I went on and I did study law, and I got my law degree and I got my master's, and then I became a solicitor in 2009. But it hasn't all been easy. There's been a lot of rejection, a lot of exclusion. I've been dealing with law and policy ever since I've been a very young child. I've been around that scenario. At age 8, I was up in Dáil Éireann with my mother and my parents campaigning for the rights of people with disabilities. That was when I was around 8 and 9, around a lot of ministers, while all other children were playing with their Barbies. When in 2008, they are actually in secondary school, I wasn't given my educational rights again. I had to challenge the status quo and take a legal case for educational rights, and my case is a bit of a precedent in educational context of special needs. In 2008, I advocated for policy for solicitors with disabilities and got that piece of legislation implemented. Currently, I'm reviewing the crime hate bill and how it affects people with disabilities. Is it inclusive? And I suppose I don't tell everybody every single thing I'm doing, but a lot of schools approach me and ask me for my advice on bullying, given that I did a PhD on bullying. Secondary school teachers' duty of care inside and outside of school regarding bullying. Do secondary school teachers owe a duty of care outside of school? So and even recently in 2019, I had to take another legal case and challenge the status quo regarding people with disabilities, because I achieved the standard to compete at a world championship in 24-hour running. I was the only person there with disability, and I was told that no, you can't, and I was solely being stopped based on my disability. So I took a court case in Monaco in France, and I was told that I had been discriminated against under Article 14 of the European Convention of Human Rights, and I did get to compete at that World Championship. I was the only person with a disability. Why did I take that court case? Because I wanted to set a precedent in able-bodied sport to show people that people with disabilities, just because you have a disability, you should not be sidelined and pushed off to disabled sport. If you have the ability to participate in able-bodied sports, you should be allowed, and you should not have barriers. And I will continue to fight in terms of law and policy, nationally and internationally, until I no longer am in this world. So that's my mission in life.
Thank you, Sinead. I think everybody else might have been begrudgingly coming along here tonight on a Saturday evening because it's their weekend and I have to attend this award ceremony. But I think that you probably enjoy all this extra work that you'd have to do to come along to these likes of events. So a couple of questions juggling. Yeah, absolutely. It is about juggling. Does your career guidance teacher, do they need to fear a solicitor's letter coming in the post anytime soon, or you won't hold that against them?
No, because I think at the end of the day, like, you have to, as you go on throughout life, you have to learn about forgiveness. And I suppose for me, like, that was a bit of my motivation to go on and become a solicitor. It wasn't all easy in second year law UCC. I found it extremely difficult, and I was going to give up because my eyes was always sore because there was so much reading, and I decided to give up. And then my parents told me, well, before you definitely give up, we'll go to London for a shopping trip. Went to London, thought I was going shopping, but they'd actually set me up to meet a judge who was totally blind. And so I sat down with him, and he became a role model to me, and I came back full of confidence. And I suppose now, sometimes in the street, different people would recognise me from different media within Ireland, and the parents might come up and their children want to talk to me. And I suppose some days I'm not in the mood, I'm tired, I'm like, especially if it's cold, raining, and I'm hungry, like, you don't really feel like being a role model then. And so I kind of say to myself, well, like, the judge gave me his time. You might be tired now, but like, you should give these children time. So that's what I try and do. We can all be, every single person on this call can be a role model through our thoughts, actions and behaviours. And I'm just so grateful for all the role models in JCI, and well done to all the volunteers for putting together a great show tonight.
Thank you, Sinead. There's a lot of Cork love and inspiration going on in the chat thread for this Zoom link at the moment. You in your bio, I read out that one of your guide runners was John.
Yeah.
Have you broken the news to John that Tommy Tiernan is going to be a guide runner for you, or did he take it badly, or how did you break it to him?
Well, John said that because I basically am working him to the bone all the time out doing, because I do 24-hour racing, so I think John is quite happy to take a break.
Right.
Because, yeah, so, but sure, you never know, I might get John there as a backup, so yeah.
Good, yeah. So when you're doing 24 hours, you probably need 2 or 3 people to be guide runners for you. So
normally for a 24-hour race, I'd have 2 guide runners. So, and again, I'd like to say that as well, that none of us do life by ourselves, that we all, like the awards that I have, whether it's the treadmill record, whether it's any of my academic achievements, I couldn't have achieved any of them without the team around me. And I think you probably know that even yourselves in JCI, no one person makes up JCI, no one person makes up Hawaii. I think it's a team effort that gets you to where you're going.
Amazing. Last question. What would be the one piece of advice for everybody tuned in tonight and watching this back on Facebook or YouTube? What would you say to them? And you've given nuggets of wisdom already, Sinead. What would be the one thing that you'd like to leave us with before you go?
The first thing I'd say is that choices, I couldn't choose how I was born, but I can choose how I live my life, and I choose to live it in a productive and meaningful way. So choices, you can choose to be visionary or you can choose to be blind. That lies with you. And can I just also say to be open-minded to opportunities and say yes to opportunities, because like you were saying there earlier, I was never involved in sport as a child. I was always left sitting on the P bench. Everybody excluded me, rejected me, never picked me for their team. And I went from that situation to actually representing Ireland in the Irish singlet. And how did I get to that point? It was by being open-minded and saying yes to running my first 10K. I didn't have a clue what a 10K was, but I said yes. And through saying that yes, I have got to travel the world.
Thank you so much, Sinead. And like all of our winners tonight, you're an inspiration to everybody. So have a great Saturday evening, and best of luck with all your future endeavours.
Thanks.
Sinead, that was incredible. I've chills, and I feel like I need to watch what you said back to really take it in. You're an inspiration to everyone on this call and watching us on Facebook and YouTube. I'm now going to present the next award. And this one we're relating to political, legal and or governmental affairs, and we are delighted to announce Maria Walsh as the outstanding young person in this category. Maria was elected as a member of the European Parliament for the Midlands Northwest constituency at the 2019 European Parliament elections. Maria is also the Irish EPP representative on the delegation for relations with the United States and for the African, Caribbean and Pacific groups of states. Maria is also co-chair of both the Mental Health Alliance and the Coalition of Mental Health and Wellbeing Intergroups in the Parliament. She's dedicated to raising the cross-sectional impacts of mental health throughout her policy work in the European Parliament. And with her work on the mental health intergroups, Maria is leading the call for an EU year of good mental health to ensure that we are prepared for the oncoming mental health crisis, which will unfortunately follow this pandemic. And I think that's something which I'm sure we will hit home for a lot of us here on this call and watching live tonight. Maria is also Vice Chair of the LGBTI Rights Intergroup in the European Parliament, which advocates for equality in the EU and monitors member states' legislative initiatives. She always takes stances on policy and legislation that align with her values of inclusion, equality and respect, even if this entails some difficult conversations with the Parliament. In 2014, Maria was crowned the International Rose of Tralee at the International Festival, which celebrates young women of Irish heritage. Up until July 2019, Maria also served as a member of the Irish Reserve Defence Force in the 1st Armoured Cavalry Squadron based in the Curragh in County Kildare. I'm also based in County Kildare, so go on Kildare. As the first openly gay Rose of Tralee in 2014, she used her platform to advocate for a positive vote in the marriage equality referendum in 2015. Maria, your work is clearly extremely purpose-driven, something in JCI we are so passionate about. I'd love to know, welcome first of all, and I'd also
thank you. Thanks very much for having me, and I cannot believe you put me off, but like behind Dr. Kane and all of those people. I'm here sweating, going, I can't even run a 2K, and this phenomenal workhorse, and I'm scribbling notes from each speaker to because I feel so inspired. But thanks very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Another impressive background, I have to say. What do you think, Derek? Are we...
Now, I'm not like Mr. Gibbons with my Mayo flag, so I feel like I'm disappointing my inner.
There's a letter in the post from my solicitor, Sinead Kane.
Yeah. Maria, your work is so purpose-driven. It's so obvious from what you do. Everything you do, it aligns with your values, and it really is so inspiring that you found work that just like. It seems to be, and I hope I'm right in saying this, it really is your passion. And I'd love to know, have you any advice for any of us on the call here? How do we find work that aligns with our purpose and values and really live that, not only in our extracurricular things, but actually in our work, in our day-to-day?
Absolutely, and you know, just as you were very kindly sharing my bio, you know, I remember chapters where there's parts of my work and my advocacy and me showing up into the world never just wasn't aligning, and I was chipping away at trying to find out how to show up in a more purposeful and meaningful way, and just picking up from Sinead's point, choose to be visionary or choose to be blind, and she couldn't have captured how I was feeling over the last number of years, and then putting my hand up, getting involved in the political realm, and ultimately asking myself, you know, there's two choices. You know, we can sit comfortably in the armchair of activism, or we can put our hand up and get involved. And when I speak to youth groups, and when I speak to great organizations across the country and the EU, it is that it's at some point you're going to hit a crossroads, and there's only so many chances we get to actually impact in a meaningful way within the political realm. And in that sense, I constantly challenge and try and welcome those like me who didn't grow up in party politics, who didn't grow up in politics at all. You know, around my kitchen table, you know, we discussed volunteerism, many of the values that JCI members on this call and worldwide experience and celebrate: volunteerism, activism within the community, from the small jobs to the big jobs. Like, how do we make sure we're showing up in our community and our families as best as we can? And ultimately, I didn't see that in the political realm. I didn't see someone who celebrated and honoured rural Ireland, who celebrated being LGBTQI ally, as well as a gay woman, who wanted to live around the area that she was educated in and be successful in business, or just was able to use the voice and advocate for issues that people are really experiencing. And ultimately, when you don't see it, then your next question is, well, how do I become it? And I put my hand up and got involved. And much like Sinead was sharing there was, and all the honorees tonight, you know, there was a lot of chapters where I was scratching my head saying, what was I thinking? But I often go back to the points, you know, where did my resilience come from? And it came from a lot of different spaces. And one in particular came from leaving Crow Park every September after Mayo, just nearly missing an All-Ireland. And I say that in a jovial sense, but ultimately that's where my community and my DNA stems from, and my belief in showing up and giving up and honouring that purposeful led meaningful work that I and all the awardees and everybody watching here tonight across JCI community want to do.
And Maria, when you feel those challenges, you know, when you're coming up to something maybe that's uncomfortable, but you know you have to act upon it. Do you think it has gotten any easier as time goes on to kind of stand up, or do you just feel the same fear and do it anyway, I suppose? You know.
Yeah, and I mean, much to that point, you do feel, you know, there's things that there's politics for my understanding, and bear in mind I'm only 2 years young within the realm of it, but there's politics and then there's politicking, and sometimes I think ego and personal drive or personal merit often overcome and overstep why the hell we show up in this world. You know, I got involved in politics because I didn't see people speaking about mental health or LGBTQI community members, or the fact that rural Ireland is a great place to live. And I heard it in small pockets, but hearing that voice on a European level just felt very disconnected from me and my friends. And much like I'd experienced through the Rose of Tralee, and trying to just welcome and dare I say, challenge the mindset and the biases we have towards institutions like the Rose of Tralee and the political world in the European Parliament. But your question is very valid. You know, what happens in the hardcore moments when you have to vote? I experienced quite a lot of it with around LGBTQI rights or environmental rights in particular. And you just I sit back in, what is my core values? What am I able to turn around to a group of young people tomorrow in a school somewhere dotted across Midlands Northwest? And for anybody who doesn't know, Midlands Northwest is Galway to Donegal, Mayo, across the Louth, so 13 counties, so the northern half of Ireland, bar Northern Ireland. So about 1.5 million constituents, a hell of a lot of young people within that realm. And I got to make sure that while it sometimes get lost in the 144 characters of a tweet, or the headlines don't often impact or reflect the decisions being made or what's happening on the political floor. But it's my job then not to just stand back. My job is to communicate, is to be a storyteller and be as factual and as honest and transparent as I can to those that elected me. And when I stay on course with that, when I have great people surround me, and all the alumni had talked about different networks and support groups that carry them through, and that ultimately has led me on this purposeful path. And I think when I start to see a grey area there, that's when I know I'm not serving the cause, I'm serving myself, and that ultimately will be when I sin bin myself and give myself the red card to step off the pitch, because then I'm not showing up authentically. And ultimately that's why I put my hand up, because we need more authentic leaders. And to go back to your first question, because I don't think I did it justice, you know, we need more people in politics, and not just people who look like me, who celebrate rural Ireland and are gay and are white, and are very fortunate to come from a background where I could have gone to college, and I did, and I had choice. We ultimately need to see our communities reflected in our politics and vice versa. And when we have that, and not just gender specific, I'm talking about colour, creed, orientation, mother tongue, you know, that is when we see a full and equal society. And much to Dr. Kane's point, you know, community members with disabilities, community members who would have come out of mental health pressures, you know, everyday people should be involved in our political realm, and not just being asked to show up and vote once every 5 years, in my case around the European elections. We need to see people involved, and to connect those that feel disconnected. And that's when, much to all the points and the awardees were making, that's when I get excited, because then I become redundant. And ultimately that's where purpose gets met, that you have people coming, tapping you on the shoulder saying, I'm ready to carry the baton now. You've done your job. Now it's my generation's choice.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Maria. There's so many nuggets of wisdom. I definitely need to go back. Like you, I'm such a notebook person. I need to go back with my note paper and pen and really take that in. And I think the theme that we've heard from a lot of the speakers tonight is really that no one is an island. and that, as you said, representation is everything in any sector of society, and that we need to see it and encourage it, like you are, and selflessly say, you know, I'm ready to pass the baton on to someone else. And I think that's something that applies to JCI, but also to any kind of organization or workplace that you're involved in. So thank you so much, Maria, and it's an absolute pleasure to give you the award tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Mail for Sam 2021. Now, last but by no means least, we are on to award number 10. And with this award, we are recognizing somebody with the Scientific and Technological Development Award. And I'm delighted to be able to announce that the winner of this award is Dr. Fiona Edwards-Murphy. Dr. Fiona Edwards-Murphy, CEO and co-founder of Apis Protect, is among the most widely publicized author on the Internet of Things and the honeybee. Apis Protect, and Apis is the Latin for bee, I think Dr. Murphy will correct me if I'm wrong, is uniquely placed to disrupt a global, well-established industry with robust technology developed by Dr. Fiona Edwards-Murphy following her award-winning PhD research at University College Cork. Dr. Murphy was recently welcomed into the 30 under 30 European class of 2021. Apis Protect was recently listed as the European Startups One to Watch in 2021 and also listed in the top 50 Irish startups to watch in 2021 by Think Business. Dr. Murphy was recognised by the Irish Technology Group as one of their 2020 Silicon Valley 50 honorees and won Silicon Valley Forum Women in Tech Pitch Competition. She recently listed by Food Talk as one of the 15 leading women the intersection of food and technology in February of this year. Dr. Murphy was listed as SiliconRepublic.com as one of the 100 rising science and technology stars to watch in 2020 and by Think Businesses on their list of 24 disruptors and trailblazers changing Irish business. Now monitoring the health of over 20 million honeybees in hives around Europe and North America, Apis Protect brings the power and advanced sensors and machine learning technology into the hive to deliver 24/7 early warning systems so beekeepers can give at-risk hives immediate attention and improve bee health. Good evening, Fiona. How are you?
Hi, Derek. Thanks so much. I'm very honoured to have received the award. So thanks so much.
No problem at all.
It's a very impressive list of people to be following up as well.
I think everybody has an impressive bio, so congratulations to you. And I had to take some out. I'm so sorry. There was a lot more in it I could have read out, but I said I need to get talking to Fiona before the evening ends. What's happening in your world at the moment?
Well, so it's a very exciting time for us at Apis Protect. Since late last year, we've launched 2 products. So one product in the US servicing commercial beekeepers, and one product here in Ireland for hobbyist beekeepers, so smaller scale beekeepers. So it's really exciting for us bringing all of those beekeepers online next week. So next Thursday is World Bee Day. So that's always a very exciting day for us in terms of lots of people often have questions about bees at that stage and how important they are. And one of the things that we always like to bring up is just how important honeybees are for food production. So we all like honeybees. We all think of them as something that's very important. You know, it's like, oh, they're nice and they fly around and they sit in the flowers and you know, that's very pretty, and it would be a shame if they were gone. And actually, a lot of people aren't aware of just how fundamentally important they are for producing, some of the most nutritious food that we eat. So when you're thinking about crops like almonds, blueberries, cranberries, avocados, kiwis, those are all given to us by bee pollination. And that's why it's very important that we protect our honeybee populations, and that technologies like what we have at Apis Protect are available to help scale up beekeeping to match food production, as the human population continues to grow.
I think a lot of people will think that bees pollinate some or a proportion of certain of foods, but I never really thought about it as in certain crops need a honeybee for them to pollinate. So thank you very much for educating me on that tonight. I've got 2 quick questions for you. One question is, the year is 2031. What's happening with you and Apis Protect? Nobody got the questions in advance, folks, so everybody's been put on the spot here tonight, but they're very capable.
Yeah, no, so I think our vision at Apis Protect for 2031, and hopefully a lot sooner than that, is to make our technology available to as many beekeepers around the globe as possible. We've thought from day one at Apis Protect, we've thought global about our solution. So right now, like that, we've got our commercial technology in the US, we've got our hobbyist technology here in Ireland. The next step for us is to take that hobbyist technology to the rest of Europe. Europe is the home of the honeybee that's used for agriculture around the world, but then also to bring our technology to other continents, so like South America and Africa, where honey production is a very important part of the economy there. So helping the beekeepers there take advantage of this technology as well and improve the health of their honeybees while also improving the business of the beekeepers. I mean, that's probably my favorite thing about our technology is it's, often people think about sustainability as something that's kind of counter business, but our technology simultaneously makes beekeeping businesses more profitable while making the bees happier and healthier, reduces the spread of disease, reduces the spread of problems. So it's fantastic that it's sustainability that also improves business outputs and agricultural outputs.
It is that win-win that we're all looking for. So it's amazing to hear. I have a lovely connection with the honeybee. I come from Balmullet or Bale and Word up in County Mayo, and the Tidy Towns recently launched their new logo, and it was the honeybee because Balmullet has been recognised as one of the highest densities of honeybees in Ireland. And so for a coastal town with the wind that blows all of the time, if anybody's ever been to West Mayo and Balmullet, to think about these little bumblebees and honeybees flowing around the place. But it's great, and I presume it's to do with pollution and agriculture and how it all works out. My last question for you, if you don't mind, would be for everybody tuned in tonight, and we nearly had 100 people over the evening, and for those that are still tuned in and for those that will watch it after the fact, what's the one thing that we can do as consumers and everybody? Nobody wants to hurt a honeybee, I'm sure, but what's the one thing we can do, and what habit can we change or can we adopt that will help the cause of the honeybee, no matter where you live in the world?
Yep, that's an excellent question, and I think everybody's always happy when I come back with the very best thing that you can do to help bees, and not just honeybees, all bees, so things like bumblebees, solitary bees, all pollinators in general, actually, of which bees are just one, is to stop doing things. So don't mow your lawn in May. Let dandelions grow, let clover grow and stuff like that. So best action you can do is to stay in bed on a Sunday morning and not mow your lawn in May. And then a second thing, so that's great, something that you can do to help that involves no energy whatsoever. And then secondly, it would be to plant a tree. So pick a native tree where, here we're in Ireland, there's native trees obviously all over the world, but here in Ireland you plant something like blackthorn or holly or something like that. And those are really important as well because they don't just provide, they've got the flowers, which is basically the food for the bees, but they also produce berries, which are then food for birds. And then they're also shelter for birds and small animals and stuff like that. So it's actually an all-around excellent contribution for biodiversity and not just bees. So you're helping everything as well as bees.
Excellent. I think everybody can do that. We can all not cut our lawns, and I'm a big fan of wildflowers and letting nature take back what rightfully is theirs, but also planting a native Irish tree. Thank you so much, Fiona, and congratulations on the award.
Thanks so much, Derek. We're very proud.
I think hay fever sufferers will appreciate that tip as well.
Excellent. So that's our 10 award winners for tonight. I'm going to hand it back over to Lauren.
Yeah, so that was incredible, guys. I really enjoyed meeting all of our awardees tonight. And a sincere thank you on behalf of JCI Ireland to all of you for coming along, giving up your Saturday evening to come in and chat to us tonight. We really appreciate it. And of course, thank you so much to our sponsor, Huawei, without whom tonight wouldn't have been possible. Of course, a reminder to tag us in your social posts tonight at JCI Ireland and to use the hashtag JCI Ireland and the longest hashtag in the world, as Derek pointed out, hashtag JCI Ireland TOYP 2021. So if you could use that and tag us in your posts. And if you are interested in joining JCI Ireland, Derek is going to give us some more information about how you can get involved. You're on mute, Derek.
I'm on mute. I had to do it before the end of the evening. 15 months working from home and I was still on mute. So JCI Ireland is based all over Ireland, which is great, but also JCI is based globally. So we've got a lot of people tuned in from around the world this evening. So if you know anybody aged between 18 to 40 that wants to develop themselves or develop their community, I know we have a lot of different people from different aspects, but I always like to compare JCI with you are the sum of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And you can think about the people that have given up their Saturday evening to listen to other amazing people, to be inspired, to not have to get up tomorrow morning to cut their lawns. But joking aside, if you want to run projects, if you want to become a better public speaker, there are so many positives about JCI and what we do here in Ireland, but also globally. If you think this might be for you, or you know somebody who it may be for, please go on to JCI Ireland, our website. Just Google us. We're all over the place in all the different social networks. And this project is just one of many projects that we run locally, nationally and internationally. So we'd love to see if JCI is for you, and if you're for JCI, we want to make sure we can give something back to you as well. So please, we're always open for members. If it is something that you think might be of interest to you. Thanks to everybody that came along this evening. The fun doesn't end yet. We have the JCI talent show coming up after the award ceremony tonight. So come along and see exactly what type of talents our members have from around Ireland. Lauren, are you going to give anybody any hints as to what your talents are?
Oh, I haven't offered up any talents tonight. I thought I'd done enough, Derek, to be honest with you. But
somebody actually nominated you, and it involved spoons and a knee. Would that be correct? Okay. You can play the spoons. Somebody said no.
Yeah, maybe. Call my granddad in, maybe.
Spoons are for all generations, Lauren. Spoons are for all generations. So we have the talent show coming up later on. So thank you everybody who tuned in tonight. As Lauren said, tag us on social media, and thanks to our sponsors and partners again for making it. And best of luck to the award nominees. We're going to put all 10 forwards for the global awards that are happening later on in the year. And as Lauren mentioned, the 10 outstanding young people of the world will be chosen and awarded at our World Congress this year, which is happening in South Africa and Johannesburg. Hopefully we might be able to get down there on a nice flight. Anywhere, we'd go anywhere at the moment on a little flight just to get out.